Hi, I'm Coach Tim Bryan, and welcome back to my channel, Thumbs Up Running. Today's topic is, when do I change my shoes? Good question. It depends. Kind of the rule of thumb, and there's really no rule of thumb, that's kind of a, that's a term probably we shouldn't be using, but generally somewhere between 400 to 450 up to 600 miles on the shoes. So if I'm running 20 miles a week, 4 weeks, I know there's a few more days than that, but 4 weeks times 6, it's 480. I got 80 miles a month times 6 months, 480. So you're looking at somewhere around 6 months. Sometimes 7. If you're running lower than that, you can go a little bit longer than that. But figure 6 months if you're averaging about 20 miles a week. If you're averaging more than that, then, it might go bump up a little bit quicker than that. If you, just face it, if you weigh a little bit more, you're going to put a little bit more impact on those shoes, so you're probably going to be at the lower end of that. And if you're a little bit skinnier like me, you might be on the upper end of that, but that's not always an indicator either. Other things that play a factor in is like, do you pronate, which means that when you run, do you hit on the outside of your foot more, which is pretty common. If you're running with your thumbs up, like I've been teaching, elbows in a good form, you're going to minimize that impact because you're not going to be rotating the hips. And it's the hip rotation that usually causes your foot to land like that. So if you're running with good form, you're going to minimize the pronation, but it doesn't mean you're going to eliminate it altogether. Over time, it's still going to maybe factor in a little bit, and it's going to wear out more on the sides. So things you can look at, if you look at right here, I don't know if you can see, it starts to really curve in more when it's starting to wear out. And the more it starts to curve in, it's going to start pronouncing that pronation even more. For me, how I know I start to do that, is like, I'm starting to get some achiness on the side of my shins coming up, and maybe the knee might hurt a little bit. Wow, I know I've gone a little too long at that point before I change my shoes. Other things to look at, these are my old running shoes. I use them for walking now. But right here, the flat part right here where you land, the tread's starting to wear out and wear thin, and there's not so much definition between the groove right here, and this is almost flattened out. This used to be dug in a little bit. And that starts to wear out a little bit too. That's maybe another sign that, hey, it's time to get some new shoes. Other things that could happen, depending upon if you heel strike a little bit more, but sometimes right through here starts to wear out a little bit, and then you get more impact going in to your shoe. So remember, somewhere between 400 and 600 miles, depending upon your weight and depending on how much you pronate and how much is going to wear out the shoes. If you're really starting to wear them out sooner than that, you need to go to your specialty running store and maybe buy some shoes that are designed to stabilize and work away from the pronation problem. So sometimes, even with the thumbs up, doesn't always eliminate those problems. Maybe 90-95% of the time it will, but not always. If you're still having those problems, go to the specialty store and buy some shoes that offer that sort of stabilization for that. Another thing that might factor in is this: you're wearing street shoes and you're doing a lot of trail running, especially maybe on rockier trails. Trail shoes have they're built for better stabilization, because when you're out running on the trails, you might land on a rock and it's gonna wobble you a little bit. And trail shoes are designed to help stabilize that problem from happening a little bit more. And so if you're on more of a rockier trail, so more street shoes, the rough going there may wear out your shoes a little bit quicker. So a lot of big depends that go on here. But if you just remember, between 400 and 600 miles, or if this really starts to wear out and you see it start to go in there, really where you're going to feel it is on the side of your shins coming down, and maybe your knees are going to start to ache a little bit. And that's a sign that this is going to start accelerating the problems that are there. You need to change your shoes. Now, I hope this helps you. Now, if you have any questions regarding this, you can always drop me an email at thumbsupforsuccess@gmail.com, or you can sign up for coaching services at thumbsuprunning.wordpress.com.